from furnace to palace. Somehow very quickly we have reached chapter 3 in the book of Daniel. And there is a great story in there that always sticks out in my mind when I think of what God is capable to do for me when I stay firm and faithful in my worship to Him. The story is about making decisions. Who do I stand for? Who do I choose to worship to? And how far am I willing to go in proving my loyalty?
When I first approached the lesson, it felt a lot like a story, something that I grew up with and has been so often dramatized in kids and youth plays, in movies and animations. But as I was going more into the lesson, it also started feeling so relevant today, with all the pressures that we face. But also from Nebuchadnezzar's side, looking from his interactions with God, there is so much to learn.
Have you ever met people with big ego? Have you met people who are great in what they do? They're great performers. They're always on the top of the list by numbers and by rewards. Unfortunately, such people sometimes become arrogant and out of touch with reality. In fact, they want to create reality for those around them. It happened with King Nebuchadnezzar. He felt so much in love with his greatness that he decided to make a golden image of himself, and not only that, but to make everybody in his kingdom bow down before this image as a sign of obedience. What is that? Isn't that an expression of what more can I get out of this life regardless of damages and costs? For the king, it was, at least he believed, a legacy of greatness even after his death. In reality, it was a lack of humility and recognition of God's supremacy.
He was the most powerful man in the world at the time. We can't read into his heart and mind, but it was obvious that he didn't like what God revealed to him. He couldn't accept that his kingdom will eventually fade and there will be others following, not even the kingdom of God at the end. He didn't like it. Instead of the statue and future that God showed to him, he made one completely in gold, not just the head, like saying, God, you have your future, but I have mine, and I'll do it my way. I don't know what it's with our nature, but even when things are demonstrated to us so clearly, it's not easy. Have you met people who says that if God shows himself up, then they will believe? Well, in a sense, Nebuchadnezzar saw God. There was no doubt in his mind who God was. And yet, what is in our hearts takes over.
Interestingly, the author of the lesson links the two passages in Daniel chapter 3, verse 8 to 15, and Revelation chapter 13, from verse 11 to 18, where we see that the people at the end of the time will be made to worship the teachings of the beast. Definitely, it's not about literal bowing down as much as it's accepting the philosophies and the teachings of another power than God. So who do we worship? It all comes down to what our priorities are, what our values are, what really empowers our decisions and our beliefs. The three Hebrew friends had to literally stand up and deny bowing down the golden image, where probably for us, our case nowadays will be more like a battle in our mind and our heart of what choices do we make, of what do we stand for when challenged with evil opportunities.
There are so many areas today where it's challenging to have a different belief, understanding, or even to express an opinion without being labeled and treated as a hater, incompetent, ignorant, and get pushed out. It's not that God is not known, but certain powers have already made their choices, and it's a defiance against the principles and future revealed by God.
There will come such moments in our lives where the choices that we'll make will have immediate consequences. And for the three Hebrew friends, the consequences of their choice led them to the fire furnace. And I'm asking myself, what in the world gave them strength to tell the king of this great empire the following words? Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us from you, from your hand, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, king, that we do not serve your gods. Definitely the three young men were exercising faith in this particular moment. Never in their lives, just think about it, never in their lives they have seen somebody thrown in a fiery furnace and coming alive out of it. But what kind of faith was that? Where was the strength of their belief coming from? There's only one answer that I can come up with. They should have had a real relationship with their God who was guiding their most inner thoughts and their decision at that particular moment.
These guys were loyal to the king. They were for the king's best interest, managing parts of his kingdom. But they couldn't compromise their integrity, their beliefs, and their loyalty to God. Why were they the only ones? Who were all the other people around? We don't know. But these three young men are giving us a great example. They had no guarantees that God is going to intervene. They knew, in fact, that God didn't do it for Isaiah, Zechariah, and many others, but they stood up for the relationship with their God.
And yes, there was a fourth person walking in the fiery furnace with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And this speaks volume about who God is. He's not just a great deliverer. He's not only capable to deliver us, but he's also walking with us in our own experience. Their relationship with God was proven right and was openly demonstrated for all the unbelievers to witness, and especially for the king. And in life sometimes it's challenging because he's not that visible for us. And it feels like we are alone in our sufferings and alone in our challenges. The story with the fiery furnace is just a testament that Jesus really walks with us. We shouldn't even for a minute think that he doesn't see what's happening in our life. He doesn't feel what we feel. He doesn't care about what bothers us. This story tells us that we can build the same relationship like those three Hebrew friends and be strong when circumstances are difficult.
This relationship and this walk with God is called faith. Faith is not a magic power to make God do the things the way we want them to be. Faith is confidence and submission to God. Trust that he will do the best for us, especially when we don't understand what is going on. And this story and this lesson are a testimony about that. When the king was able to see that, when his heart and his mind opened, when he got able to get over his stubbornness, he appreciated it. He was humbled and amazed, and he promoted these guys from furnace to palace.
And next week we're going to continue with the topic from pride to humility. See you then.